Hello guys, this week we are going to be talking about our top 8 ways to survive a long distance relationship. Ken and I have been doing it for quite a while now, pretty much pros, and we're just going to share that with you and hope that helps with anyone that's kind of going through that or thinking about doing something long distance. So
some long distance 101.
Here we go.
Alright, so for number 1, we wanted to talk about the importance of communication, which is important in all relationships, but even more so when you don't see each other every day. So even just little things about everything, your feelings, okay.
Nice.
Communicating your feelings is extremely important. Even just the little things, just letting your partner know exactly how you feel and what's going on through your head, because they can't be there with you to know, and especially over a text message, if that's your only form of communication at the moment, you have to really explain, because they can't see if you're sad or happy or what's going on. So the happy things, the sad things, if you're upset, if you're frustrated, it's so important to talk about it.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're long distance, there's obviously no like physical aspect to your relationship. And so, like, sometimes the other person just needs a nice hug, and, like, you can't do that for them. So it's really important you just kind of, like, share your ups and downs, and ignoring the other person if you're upset, or, like, kind of sending them lame texts or not picking up their calls or whatever is just, it's not going to help the situation at all. In the moment, it might seem like the great idea because you're frustrated, but it always just makes sense to just get down to it, talk, figure it out, and once you get through it, you know, it makes the next time just that much easier.
Talk from experience of ignoring.
What's that?
So you talk from experience of ignoring me.
No, I don't ignore you.
Doesn't make anything better.
No, you're the one that sends like lame one-word texts sometimes when you're all upset.
Sure.
Whatever.
It's a learning process.
Exactly.
All right, what we got for number 2, babe?
All right, well, for number 2, we suggest that you designate time for each other. It's important when you're apart a lot of the time and you're both living your own lives and you're very busy with, you know, school or work, whatever have you, that you spend time together that you kind of planned out. So for Kenna and I, we will Skype each other at specific times. Like, we'll just say, hey, in 2 hours I'm free, are you free? And we just make something happen, and we either like watch a show together, or we'll just kind of talk about our days. But just having a set time either every day or every week to talk and kind of just share and kind of get on the same page is just super important, and it makes things run a lot smoother.
I think we found this increasingly important as well as Michael went abroad, because this was something that we did regularly while we were just at school, which was also really great for our relationship, but that big time difference of 5 hours definitely took a toll on a lot of the time that we would have typically spent talking to each other. We are a very strong communicative couple. We talk to each other a lot. So that time difference was really hard for us right away, but it made it easier just to have those specific times that we knew that we were both free and we could call each other. Even if it was just a simple, like, in between class, like 5 minutes, how's your day going? It's helpful to have that time and to, like, know that that's going to be there, that time is, like, designated for you.
Right, and, like, we kind of set up a calendar system on our iPhones that we have like a shared calendar, so I input what I'm doing, she inputs what she's doing, and so after I'm done with class, I can see, oh, she has work today, I can't call her right now, or it's just a nice way to kind of know what's going on in the other person's life as well, and so you can kind of link up your schedules and make things flow seamlessly.
And for number 3, this is something that I think a lot of couples in general will might overlook and not think is important, but we found this super important as we went to college specifically, and that is to maintain individuality as separate people, because obviously your relationship is important to you. You've decided that it's worth to continue no matter what your situation is, if you're doing long distance, which is what we did. But we also realized how important it was for us to have our own college experiences and to make our own friends and to be our own people, being involved in our own activities. That other person, your partner, will always be a part of those things, like secondhand. Like, it's so important to like tell them about those things and like talk about how much you're enjoying it. Like, I love being in my sorority, but that's something individual to me and separate to me, just as Michael's lacrosse team is to him. So it's things that, whether it's a club or just a group of friends, but that your partner is not mediating and directing every single portion of your life.
I mean, like, in high school, we were pretty much joined at the hip. We spent every single day together. We had the exact same friends. We pretty much did everything together. And so being in college, kind of doing our own thing separate, was kind of shocking right away. And it might be, and it's going to be kind of hard to accept that, like, oh, like, I'm playing IM basketball when you're free, and you're like, well, this is the time that I want to spend with you. But you have to understand that the other person has a life of their own, and you kind of have to accept that and work around that framework. And once you kind of do that, things will start to fit in place, and you'll get into a routine where when you're apart, this is how things are, and it just kind of flows.
Especially in college, it's so important, just for anyone, relationship or not, to like figure out who you are and like become an adult. And we're fortunate enough that we get to do that together, and we get our own chance to do it apart.
I mean, it's been good to kind of have both like together and apart, and it's definitely helped us grow. I guess moving on, it is important to be individuals, but it's also important to kind of still maintain being a couple. And so, like, sharing activities is super important. And so that's number 4, sharing activities. What we do is we binge Netflix shows together. Since we have a weird...
Just finished Game of Thrones and Stranger Things.
And we're doing... Well, we sort of tried This Is Us. I think we're going to do Riverdale, but, like, we just always have shows on deck, and we don't Netflix cheat, so like no one goes ahead, and this is kind of one of those things where we block off that time for each other, and we watch shows, we talk about our days, and just like having something that you only do with your like significant other is just really important.
Well, it doesn't have to be Netflix, but it can be something that you regularly do together when you are together. If that happens to be you both would always eat breakfast together. Just make that time, maybe on the weekend, that you have a Skype date and you guys eat breakfast together. Or whatever your favorite activity is, you read a book that comes out in a series, like do that together and then call each other and talk about it. Like just continuing those activities you would normally do when you're with each other, just modified while you're
apart. So, yeah, honestly, we've had a couple Skype dates, and sometimes those are some of the best. Like, you can just kind of forget about everything. You almost for a moment feel like you're back together, just enjoying some food together. So it definitely makes a difference.
All right, for number... What 5. Are we at? Number 5. For number 5, we said that it's so important to continue celebrating things, whether that's accomplishments, holidays, anniversaries. It's important to not forget about the importance of those things with each other. So for our anniversary, for our year anniversary, we celebrate early in summer while we're still together, but obviously we still have that special day that we like celebrate even though we're apart. So it could be literally just as simple as blocking out a couple hours of your evening and Skyping each other or being on a phone call, or just like sending a small package of like, oh, I saw this and I thought of you. Like little things like that. We send each other Valentine's Day packages and stuff like that. I don't know. You don't even necessarily have to buy gifts. Like, gifts are sweet and they're very appreciated, but just write a letter. Just do the simple things. When your significant other gets a position in the club that they're in, or if they do really well in their sports game, like just congratulating them and like supporting them from afar and like celebrating those. And
kind of going off like the supporting from afar, like kind of does a great job. She watches all of my lacrosse games over stream because she can't be there in person, which does mean a lot, because after a game, I'll get those texts like, oh, I saw your goal, or like you did so well, and like it's definitely nice to know that they're watching and thinking about you and supporting you. And then like for the Valentine's Day thing, since we do that apart all the time, it's just kind of something fun now where we send each other really cool and creative packages. Like Kenna sent me something. It was like the box itself was part of the gift, and like I opened it up and it was just this really cool design, and like it's definitely this is kind of going to flow into the next tip, which is kind of finding creative ways to show the other person you care. Like take the time to do something above and beyond what you might normally do and be creative with it. You're apart. So like I remember one time I sent stuff to Kenna's friends and they set up stuff in her room, so when she got back it was a surprise, as opposed to just like getting a package. You're like, oh, I know this is from Kenna, I open it up, I know I'm getting gifts. Like surprises are awesome. And so like you can do that with flowers, like fruit bouquets, you can have their friends do something. So just little things like that are really important.
It doesn't even have to be extravagant.
Right.
Just
Never
like text their friends, say, can you go out and get their favorite candy? Just like little things that like they know you care. Just be creative.
Yeah, and it always, the thought that counts is like, so that's such a true saying. Like you writing a letter and just like sometimes I like write poetry or whatever, or posting something on Instagram about the person, about how much you miss them. Like it just little things kind of all the time will really chip away at the time that you're apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our next thing, since we kind of talked about being creative, is getting excited to see a person. The next time that you get to be together is going to be so exciting, and it's totally okay and a great idea to talk about that and to think about what you're going to do. We're already been talking about all the things that we want to do over winter break, and that gives us something positive to look forward to. We're saying we want to go ice skating, we want to go to this restaurant, we want to make this thing, like we want to do this dinner together. Just all the exciting things that we're going to do when we're together, so the time apart goes by a little bit faster. And another fun thing that we do is I have a countdown app. So like the day, counting down the days until we're both home together. So it's just another thing to look forward to as you're going through the not as fun time of being apart, but looking forward to see the other person.
And I mean, like the time does fly by so much faster, especially like if you're looking for something on Saturday and it's Monday, the week just seems to fly by. And it's kind of along the same lines as like we're looking forward to seeing each other. And it focuses more on the positive aspect of being apart than the negative, where I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, summer was so fun, like I miss all this time. I mean, it's good to embrace those feelings, but at the same time, like always look forward and always kind of be positive, and that'll just kind of help your relationship out. And then just like planning ahead and getting excited for it, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's just a ton of fun. It gives you something to talk about, so nothing bad can really come of that.
Do you want to share our last point?
Our final tip is to involve the other person in kind of your world. And so what that means is tell your friends that you, like, about your girlfriend, so they kind of have an idea of, or boyfriend, of who they are, even if they don't know them, so that when you can talk about them. And it's important so that they know who they are, and kind of vice versa, and just kind of like letting them know about what you're doing, who you're with, the people you're with, the friends you're making, because every little thing about kind of being familiar with the situation kind of releases tension in the relationship. If I'm just like, hey, I'm going out with friends, and you're just like, well, who are you going out with? I don't know any of these people. It's just kind of uncomfortable or unfamiliar, and sometimes like it's just another thing to talk about, and like, I don't know, it just makes things easier.
Well, I think going off of that too, it's not like obviously we said that being an individual is so important, and we all recognize that, but it's also this person is somebody who's obviously very important to you, and you want them to be involved in most of the aspects of your life. So just having them be a part, like I can talk to all my sisters, and when I mention Michael, they know who I'm talking about, and I don't have to say, oh, my boyfriend. Even though most of them maybe haven't even met him before, it's somebody who's important to me, and people know that. And I can talk to Michael about my friends who he doesn't necessarily have met before, but he knows when I say Alex, he knows exactly who I'm talking about. When I can share about my friends and I don't have to explain who those people are every time because I've gotten to know them through all the fun stories, or when Michael talks about all the people that he's met in Ireland. Obviously, I was only there for a short amount of time, so I couldn't have met them all, but it's just fun to get to know the people that your significant other really enjoys spending time with. And it's fun to know about those things that Michael's doing, that he's on these club teams and he's going on these hikes and all these things that I don't get to experience, and I'm so happy that he gets to, but I love hearing about them and being involved in that way.
Yeah, and like you should never feel ashamed if like you're just like going on and on, because I find myself going on and on about Kenna sometimes, and you can just tell people are like, oh my god, this guy is so sappy, and like whatever,
so
you're in love, you're happy, you're in a long distance relationship, like you gotta get it out there. And it's just like, if you enjoy talking about them, obviously it's a relationship worth having, and like you should just embrace that. And it really, like, having a diverse amount of things to talk about with your significant other and just kind of involving them in every little way will make things easier. And you obviously don't have to divulge every single detail to them, but it's just really important that you don't like put them on the side when you're apart. That's just, you always want to prioritize your relationship and your bond. And if you have to say, hey, look, I'm with friends right now, I can't talk, but I'll fill you in later, that's fine. But you can't put them on the back burner when you're apart, because if we did that, we'd have 3 months.
It's that balance between,
like that.
Yeah. It's that balance of maintaining individuality. Like, honestly, it's the balance of all the things that we talked about. Individuality, communication, and involving each other still. Because if Michael was here right now and he was going to a party with coworkers, I would probably come with him, and I would get to meet those people that he's talking to all the time, and I would get to have that one-on-one connection with those other people. But because I can't, that doesn't mean I don't want to. So you're being an individual, you're doing your own thing, you're spending your own time with other people, but then you're still involving your significant other by letting them know all the exciting things that you're doing.
Right. And I mean, it always comes back to that communication part. You just got to talk through everything.
Talk.
Out of all 8, like, really, that's number 1. Because if you can communicate,
that's number 1.
You'll get through
all
everything.
The other ones are just as important, but communication is number 1 above all. But I think that's the majority of what we've learned through our long distance experience. So far, so good, I guess.
I mean, we're still in a relationship. We're still making vlogs, and like, I don't know.
I guess we're happy. So.
I guess we're all right.
But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. Hopefully this will help out your long distance relationship, or honestly just good rules to live by in general. But we love you all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
We'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye.